I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. To you all. To Michael McAvoy.
I'm going to stay there. We're going to hear about the most amazing cake you've ever had in your entire life. And then Kate is going to say goodbye, and then we're going to have the cake. Just thank you, not goodbye.
Oh, okay. So, I didn't sleep last night, so I'm a little spacey. I'm trying to think of what I want to say, and I don't want to cry, but usually I don't give this talk before a cake, but I'm going to give just a short little talk, because Kate and Michael have a lot to do with my cakes. And I was working on a master's in integral health education at CIIS, and my focus was creating awareness about the life force in nature. And so all my projects were about food policy or organic biodynamic farming and farmers markets and plant energy. And I met Kate and Michael. I was doing an internship. It's like, they're kind of like my family that I don't see very often. Whenever I do, it's a really significant, like, kind of crossroad. But I met them. I was doing an internship at Jerry Brown's We the People, and they showed up one night. And I remember Michael had shorts on that night. But, and Michael gave me a copy of an article about him working on studies about plant spirit, and so that was very exciting to me. And so my thesis was going to be my means of creating awareness about the life force in nature through mythical cakes connecting to the magic of plants and nature. And so, kind of word of mouth, I started making wedding cakes. And I've made quite a few wedding cakes for Kate's family, and Sandy and Kate and Michael. Actually, the last cake I made, the most significant mythical cake, was for Michael and Kate's wedding. So, so the cakes are symbolic to the time of year and the elements of nature, the life force in nature. And this cake is in honor of Michael. So Michael likes chocolate, and I liked the fact that the chocolate was just, the darkness where all life comes, the infinite life force. And the frosting was actually going to be white, but often I make a cake that I've never made before, and that's why I was up all night, because I had a few problems. In fact, the icing was just like, I was afraid I'd have to pour it over the cake. And somehow, I think Michael has something to do with it, because it went on like frosting. It was like perfect, So in this cake, it's a chocolate beet cake. So it's a healthy cake. There's no gluten. It's coconut, almond flour, some honey, no sugar, coconut sugar, some eggs and butter, coconut oil, white cacao butter, raw cacao, and cinnamon and the cashew coconut white chocolate cream frosting. And so the herbs that I brought to kind of tell the story for Michael, well, we have rosemary for remembrance, rose geranium, because it's very fragrant, symbolic of love, and it's good for grief and sadness. There's some yarrow for protection and boundaries, because this is a transitional period for Michael and all of us as he crosses to the other side. There's saffron and rose petals for love. Let's see, fennel for friendship, and that's what we all, that's a very important part of what Michael talked about, what? Connecting. And two other, sage. White sage is kind of like the telephone call to ancestors and those who have passed. And I think there's one more. So if you want, you can like take a little sprig off of any of the herbs up there, and I'm going to be cutting pieces so everyone will have a piece of cake. And we will be eating the elements as our ecological relationship to the earth and one another.